Salutations. This is Jen. If you hear somebody snoring, that is Sammy. It's a little early. I apologize. I hope that people see this video, and I hope that you pass around the information to the best of your ability. I've been saying for a few years now, be very careful when sending text messages, voice messages, even video messages to people, because they may not be who you think they are. The first operation of the enemy within, the enemy without, deceiver, the great adversary, Satan, whatever you prefer to call the darkness that is around us. Their main tactic has always been to divide and conquer. That is why first you saw the family get divided and conquered. And then you're seeing the country trying to be divided and conquered, along with the Church of God trying to be divided and conquered. By the Church of God, I mean the Catholic Church. That doesn't mean that I feel some type of way about Protestants, okay? So please don't do that. We're all fighting the same enemy, and we need to understand that and be as unified as possible, because that's what he does not want us to be, as unified. So that's what we should do, is to be as unified as possible. Anything that the darkness wants at this point, you should resist that and don't give it. You don't have to resist too hard, because you don't want that boomerang effect coming back on you. You know, when you push against something, there's bound to be like a tug of war and a break in power somewhere. So you don't want to resist anything, right? Just resist. Don't give it any more of your attention and walk away from it. Resist, deny, and abandon, I guess, would be what you call that, right? So I've been saying for a long time, be careful, because I think that we are being segregated. I think that our internets have turned into intranets. I don't think that we're being allowed to talk to people from all over the world. I think my situation is different, not because I'm special, just because of circumstance, basically. And I'm going to show you a few things that you really don't have to be psychic to pick up on. Although, I have this thing the last few years, whatever God gives me, and I wasn't going to say anything about this. There is a personal element to this that I was not going to speak upon. But now I see that I have to, because it goes along with what we're going to speak about. And this will be a short video. I'm going to be as quick as possible, because I have to work and I'm still sleepy. I wanted to get a little more rest. And now I have SSI bothering me. They tell you can work. You try to do what's best for your family and your country. You report all the changes, and then they still harass you afterwards. And everyone that I speak almost everyone is of the rainbow community. Am I actually even speaking to anyone at SSI? These are the questions you have to start asking. Who are you actually talking to on the phone? Who are you actually messaging? Who else is looking at your messages, even if you are reaching the right people? Be very aware. Nothing is private. Not a thing. And if you think you have privacy, you're in for a shock, like I was. And I don't want to see people. I've been trying to break these things in gently to everybody, but there is simply no more time. Now, this is bothering me for a couple of reasons. Number one, because nobody's making the right connection. Everybody wants to connect it to the election. And I would say we need to connect it with what's going on in the Appalachian Hills right now. I think those people need our help. And I think any able-bodied person who is close to that area should go out there and make their presence known, because if enough regular folks, regular plainclothes civilian folks are out there and we have eyes on the area, they're not going to do heinous things with everybody watching them. And I really don't care. There's not enough people that watch this channel. You can't say I'm an instigator or anything like that, because I'm a pacifist. I'm not condoning nor promoting violence of any kind. I'm simply saying go be a neighbor to your neighbors. Make your presence known. Just standing in one place. And I read this yesterday, and it's amazing. I opened this book up that the Magic Bookstore gave me a few roads away. He said, here, read this. This might help. A lot of it I already knew intuitively, just from dealing with the spiritual warfare I've dealt with, but I opened it up to the page that said, standing can be one of the hardest things we ever do, because we want to go, we want to move. Sometimes all you need to do is just stand firm. And that's what we should be doing right now for the truth, for God, for family, and for country, for our neighbors, for humanity. Because this is an anti-human agenda from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, all the way around. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things. And again, you need to make the right connections. Connect it to the disaster relief that we are seeing and not necessarily to the election, although the election would be your next concern. And I don't know what else to call it, a vision of Mary, and I've done a video on it. And she was in front of the White House, and I didn't even know like what this area of the White House looked like. I've never heard of the Kennedy Rose Garden, but that's where she was. And she said that blood was going to fall from the sky. Why would she say that standing in front of, in a garden in the White House? And again, it's a place I've never seen. Everybody as a kid got to go to DC or France, and of course my parents were good cop, bad cop, and I was unable to go. Again, all of this is by design. For some of us, they don't want us knowing who we are. So let's get to it here. Let's get cracking, because I got to work, and I'm going to run in a minute here. Show you what I found, because I just do. All right, so first I'm going to take you and show you. Samson, you're okay. He's dreaming. Now, I told you that as well, and trust me, I'm going to undo that. Okay, we're going to look at this first, and then we will go back to what you just had a peek of, because again, it's something I've been speaking to for at least 3.5 years at this point. So Republican Harris to Newsmax, scary new DOD directive totally uncalled for. Now, it's not a new executive order. Reagan put it through in the 80s, in like 81 or 82, but it has been amended. A new federal directive authorized last month that could potentially legalize military action against citizens on U.S. soil is worrisome. Republican Andy Harris, or Representative Andy Harris, he's a Republican of Maryland, I believe, told Newsmax Wednesday. I did okay for a girl who don't do politics. The Biden-Harris administration updated DOD Directive 5240.01 on September 27th to include provisions authorizing lethal force in certain circumstances when assisting civilian law enforcement. Just yesterday, I saw a story come down from Appalachia, and I'll try to find it real quick before we go off of this video, that was showing hold on, let me just show you. The FEMA director, or FEMA personnel who is in the Appalachian Hills, and I apologize if this is slow, I need a new device. So we'll do FEMA, Helene, and then you're going to click on news, and you'll get the current news. And again, we have to read all this with discernment, okay? Suspect arrested after reports of threats toward FEMA operations in California. Arrest made after threat to FEMA in North Carolina, including the $750 payment. That's ridiculous. How insulting. And they're probably telling him now, see, you wouldn't let us buy you out. You wouldn't let us buy you out. This is what happens. This is what happens, because this is what happens every time. I told you, there was a lake up there. It wasn't a hurricane. Of course, there was a lot of rain that obviously did a lot of damage, but there was a lake that they flooded. They flooded all the other areas and reduced the size of the lake so the lake wouldn't flood. Well, the water has to go somewhere. When you let water out and you drain, I live near a lake. Every time they let it down because it gets high, there's a town that gets flooded. Every single time, same town. They know this. All right, so you see this going on? Let's put that back and back one more. So real quick, let's refer to this. Establishes procedures to conduct authorized activities in a manner that protects the constitutional and other legal rights of U.S. persons and persons in the U.S., as well as the privacy and civil liberties of such persons. So this would be condemning what they do to us so-called targeted individuals, how they were surveilling us, how they've been watching us. I don't know if it's because we have gifts, because we have good insights into these things, call us psychic, telepathic, whatever you want to call us. I know there's a few of us that speak to what's coming before it happens. I mean, I've seen it. You can see it in other videos. I share a gentleman's videos from New York who's super technically adept and I'm not. So I try to learn from him. And he knows, and he talks, even though he's a technical aspect or person, and that's what he addresses most is the electronic gadget technological aspect of the targeting. And again, I believe everything starts in the spirit. This is all satanic. You're seeing the church being attacked at the same time. You're seeing America be attacked. We were good to our neighbors. This is why we have food stamps. The food stamps come from the agriculture department. It comes from the farmers. It doesn't come directly from the government. We help our neighbors here. Most of us are hard workers. Yes, we get hurt. Yes, we have bad times. Someone like me, I know that people think what they think. I don't really care what other people think at this point. I know what I'm able to do, what I'm unable to do, and I'm doing the best that I can to help my family in this time of need because everything has gone up and everybody is suffering in some way, shape, or form at this point. So please trust that I understand this. And if I'm quick or if I'm glib or flippant, it's for the reason of time and not being able to say certain things that I would like to say. But I don't hold a whole lot back. So this guy is telling us about it, okay? And he says now there's been an amendment because Reagan did that to protect civilians from being surveyed and things like that, right? Kennedy said the same thing. He said in his last speech, and I can't find the document anywhere now, but it's very hard to find the full video. He says, or in a document that one of the things that he was going to do was to make it impossible to operate on U.S. land like this against civilians because he knew that Watergate, they were showing us with Watergate when they showed us how they were tapping the president's phones and then Kennedy was tapping phones of people that worked for him to find out who the mole was. That's the problem. We've all been recorded since we were born. They've had this technology all along. I watched a Joan Crawford movie the other day, and they had old-timey recorders like you see in projectors. And it was built into a desk, and all you had to do was push a button under the desk, and it would start recording whoever was in that room until it stopped or you stopped it. And you couldn't see it, you couldn't hear it, and this was black and white movie. So again, they've been lying to us for a very, very long time, and it's time everyone just came to terms with that. It's just a fact. They show us this crap in these movies. It's not even necessarily because of karma. It's because they want to mock us. If it was a karma deal, they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing. Okay? It's to mock us, strictly to say, well, we showed it to you. You were too stupid to figure it out. And they can say it's passive consent, and to people who don't know any better, they'd be like, oh, okay. I can't believe I did that. But they'll blame themselves. I don't. Manipulated consent is not consent. It's void. You might as well tear it up. It doesn't matter. It is not consent. So, playing these word games that they do is ridiculous. Anyway, so, again, the Biden-Harris administration updated DOD Directive 52401 on September 27th to include provisions authorizing lethal force in certain circumstances when assisting civilian law enforcement. Now, I'm going to click on that, but we're going to go to something else, and I'm going to tell you my little personal story here in a second, as soon as this comes up. Okay, so what did they say that they... Okay, so they're saying that this is cleared for public release, reissues and cancels DOD Directive 5240.01, DOD Intelligence Activities, August 27, 2007, as amended. Incorporates and cancels procedures governing the activities of DOD intelligence components that affect the United States persons. So everything that protects us, they're amending and canceling, right? Okay, so this implements Executive Orders EO 12333. Now, what is Executive Order EO12333. Again, this is a lot of cross-referencing, but it'll only take a minute. Sorry. I did that wrong. Okay, executive order. Oh, heavens, I'm sorry, guys. I need a new device badly. Come on. And they like to mess with me because that's what they do. We'll look at that in a second. Let's finish this. This is very worrisome. He says, I think there's a reason why, it's released kind of without Congress being around, without publicly stating that we have a real change in Department of Defense policy. But this is very scary. So they implemented this and they made these amendments and changes to this executive order that Reagan put out during the congressional break when there was no one around. He told host Chris Salcido, this is exactly what the Democrats said Trump would do, and they're doing it. What did I tell you about narcissists? They accuse you of doing these things that they themselves are doing. But again, there are no good guys in these politicians, guys. There is no good team, bad team. Okay? And I'm sorry to say this, but if you're still involved in that and you think that you're some great citizen because you read the news and you drink your coffee as you read the news and you keep up to date and you're informed, that's nothing. Who cares if you're informed? You might be informed with lies. We need to learn how to stand on truth, and we need to learn how to say this isn't acceptable. They say, well, I didn't want this. They didn't ask us. Start making your voices heard. I do not consent. This is not okay. So he goes on to say, this means that after an election, they could declare national emergency and literally call out the army in the United States because all you have to do is declare a national security emergency. Hello? Should I read that again? When all this began with the alleged CV, Trump went into Cheyenne Mountain into the bunker. We were told that. We were also told shortly after that the Queen and the Pope had both died. But then they recanted that for like 2 years. Then said the Queen died. They're still trying to play that the Pope's alive. They already did this. I'm pretty sure Biden isn't even the president. I really don't think he is. There's a reason that he says the things he says. It's not because he's stupid. Again, it's because he's trying to give clues and hints to people. And he told the military, when I heard this clip yesterday, from when they said it didn't make any sense when he said Netanyahu was going to come over for the storm. He was not talking about Helene. He was, again, giving us a clue of what's to come. Come over here for the storm. There's going to be a storm on American soil. And he did not say anything about Helene or Milton. You need to start listening and putting these little things together and quit letting the media frame things for you. And then you'll know what's coming and you can prepare. They're telling you right here. This has already been done. Okay? It was already done when they announced the health emergency. And Trump was still in office then. And I'm pretty sure, again, that he's still in office. Everything they say is a lie, right? Calling him the former president. They don't do that with anyone else. They call them president until they die. Mr. President. Harris added, and you know that if the Democrats are unwound enough, if they lose the election, they would do that. This is probably also for before the election. I heard that they are now sending armed troops armed FEMA troops up to the Appalachian Hills. It's not just the election, guys. Wake up. There is a war happening right now on American soil. It is covert. Some of them are probably using these tunnels. Some of these military agents are traveling and showing you what they're doing in plain clothes. Why they're doing that part, I'm not certain. I haven't figured it out yet. So here we go. Harris said when Congress returns to Washington after the election, that's when they return. After November, how long are they out? I've never seen nothing like this. Congress, I thought they were still there. Anyway, Harris said when Congress returns to Washington after the election, he expects lawmakers will discuss the directive. This is a major step when you increase the ability of your own Department of Defense, and it doesn't say, we're going after criminals. It just says U.S. persons. Doesn't say how the intelligence is going to be used. Doesn't say what the protections are. Again, look, this is like Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act all over. I mean, this is the left state wanting to basically know everything that everybody does without any protections for civil liberties. It's totally uncalled for. So yeah. Now, can I click on it now? Will you show it to me? I don't want you to cancel that. All right, so here's another thing. Again, natural resources. Didn't I tell you that I live right near an air base and right near an small airport, and I live in between two big airports as in Cleveland and Pittsburgh? Didn't I tell you that, guys? Didn't I tell you that they've not been flying planes nearly as much as they used to, and everyone wanted to say, "Oh, it's because of the rapture. They think the rapture might happen." That's Hollywood, guys. If God does something like that, he's not going to let people know. There'd be no point. Everybody would convert, but they would convert because of fear, not because of love. Everybody has to come to the truth and come back, or not. If there is a rapture, there's probably more than one, and they are probably secret. You probably don't even know when it happens. And I'm being honest about this. I think if there is a rapture, I think everybody's right, and I think there's probably 3. Because Matthew is after the tribulation, the elect will be caught up. But there are a couple other little verses that make it sound like before. And I think before just means before the bowls of wrath, because you have tribulation and you have bowls of wrath. But those might be the same thing, and that might be a bad Protestant teaching that they're all separate. I think all of these things, like the 4 riders and the bowls, and all of these things are kind of simultaneous, almost happening at the same time. As we're seeing right now, things coalesce. All right, so didn't I tell you they were flying less planes? Well, why would they be flying less planes if, not for some rapture that we don't even know is going to happen, or, let's not argue over that. What's another logistical reason that they would fly planes less? Oil. And isn't this all about the black goo? We've talked about that spiritually. We've talked about it physically. We've talked about it technically and scientifically. Let's talk about it as a resource. Why do you suppose everybody's rushing up to the mountains in Appalachia? I told you the answer to that. They're flying less planes because there probably is less gas to go around. And they don't want people to know that. And it's very possible they'll say an EMP or some such thing went off just so people they can't give out gas. Okay? And I'm hearing rumors that the places that stopped selling gas during the storms have not filled back up and have not been resupplied. Now, you've got some YouTubers out there, again, these people are military. They are psyoping their own people. Why they're doing it is anyone's guess. Some people do it for money. Some people do it for fame. Some people are doing it to keep the comfortable life they have. Some are doing it to protect their family, which I can understand. Hidden oil shortages. Military authorizes lethal force on American soil. Nobody else is talking about this connection. Nobody. Everybody is talking about this change to the DOD executive order in regards to the election. I'm going to point you to Appalachia. Those are our neighbors. They need help. If you are in that area, you need to stand strong and stand firm. You need to check on your neighbors every day. And don't be stupid and put it on some big YouTube thing, because a lot of those, again, are fake. You can tell by the looks on people's faces that they're saying things that other people want them to say. It's very easy to spot when somebody is lying, especially when that person does not want to be lying. And I've watched some of these Appalachian channels for years now, and you guys know this. I wanted to do the Appalachian Trail. I felt called to do this in 2019. When I asked God, if he was going to rename me like he did Sarah and Ruth in the Bible, he gave me a new name, and that name was Helene. And I didn't tell nobody that. I didn't tell anyone until now. Please listen. Not for my sake, but for your own. If you're in the Appalachia area, you get tight with your neighbors. You be tight with them. I don't care if you don't know them. Go introduce yourself. You tell them where you live. You make sure that you make your presence known. We need to be helping each other. And they're telling them, we don't want you here. We don't want the government here. And they arrested that guy. Who knows what actually happened? They're saying, we're taking care of our neighbors. We're taking care of each other. Get out. And the government's not listening. They're saying they don't want your help, man. They don't want your help. You don't need to come supervise everything. The government is there to assist. It's gotten way too big, and its arms are in every cookie jar. You've got the DOD, you've got the CIA, you've got the FBI, you've got Congress, and the judiciary systems. Now they're all going to work together with the cops here on the ground, which again has been happening since all this started. And I've told you that. I've told you there's military in plain clothes everywhere. Nobody wanted to believe me. I've been around military personnel my whole life. I don't know why. It's just the way it is. I'm not in the military. I've never signed up for anything like that, but pretty much everybody I know has. Family, friends, everybody that's around me. I know what to watch for. They're just a different breed, man. They're disciplined. They're organized. They're very routine unless they're doing an operation. And trust me, if they're doing an operation, it's something they planned and choreographed for months and years in advance so that when the time comes, they don't even have to think. They're like machines. The problem with that is that bleeds into other areas. So today's report examines lawfare tactics, oil shortages, rising youth depression, disaster relief in North Carolina, U.S.-Israel military collaboration, and domestic military policy changes before the November elections. This is dope. I don't know who this is, but this person put everything together. I'm going to have to bookmark this site. It's by a person named Ivor, or a user named Ivor. Disclaimer, the following content does not reflect the opinions of Peak Prosperity, but it's a summarization of the content that has caught the interest of members of the community. Energy and economy. The global economy is reportedly grappling with hidden oil shortages, manifesting as high interest rates rather than high prices. This scarcity is part of a broader issue exacerbated by differing perspectives on energy, such as climate change and fossil fuel dependency. Historically, shifts in oil supply have led to economic adjustments, with interest rates used to manage these issues. Currently, the world dual challenges of insufficient crude oil supply and high interest rates, compounded by affordability issues and government debt management struggles. The narrative around climate change has overshadowed the crude oil shortage, promoting alternative energy sources but obscuring the critical role of low energy prices in economic growth. This situation has reportedly led to resource conflicts, with poorer populations disproportionately affected, contributing to social unrest. Politics. The U.S. military has updated its policies to potentially allow the use of lethal force on American soil in certain national security emergencies. Now, I like that word security emergencies. It sounds a lot like peace and safety, doesn't it? And that's what the UN promises, isn't it? Again, it's not just military here. We've got the UN, and they're a different breed because they're from all over. We are not their family or friends or neighbors. They don't care about us the way our own military would, which is why I believe they're sending everybody's military to other countries so that their own don't have to do the deed of harming their own. It's very nasty, very, very nefarious, the whole thing. Now, again, I do have a personal element that I'm going to attach to this. It's going to be a very short story time. Just be patient, and thank you for being here if you are here. It is very early. I understand that. But I want to get this video up so that people can see it. If you like the video and you understand the information that's being shared, please do feel free to give it a like. Again, not because I'm promoting the channel, so to speak, but the information being shared. All right, so the directive's expansion has raised concerns about its application during potential... Oh, wait, sorry. let me change this. This change, part of the reissued DOD Directive 5240.01, includes provisions for military assistance to civilian law enforcement, authorizing lethal force under specific conditions. The directive's expansion has raised concerns about its application during potential civil unrest related to the elections, sparking debate about the military's domestic role and implications for civil liberties. Despite these changes, the Posse Comitatus Act, which tells you there can't be any of this on American soil, continues to restrict military engagement with civilians except under specific authorizations. These developments highlight the need for public awareness and scrutiny as the nation approaches a critical electoral period. Again, these elections probably are not going to happen, and they will say it's our own fault. All right? And if they do have, I don't know. Like, I'm very surprised that they're letting it get this far. But I'm sure there will be a hero or two, or maybe five, that come in and shake things up. And you're seeing this coalesce sort of happen. Harry's got digs now. Almost all of the royal family, allegedly, according to the tabloids and according to news sources, everyone, Harry and William, both have places here now in America. And Charles was looking at New York. There's a reason they want you to think all these bad things are happening in certain areas is because they want you to not go to those areas. All right? They're doing things and they don't want you to know what they're doing in them. And I'm very convinced at this point that they're probably using, as our news, they're probably using the duplicate Chinese cities, the empty cities over in China. I will do another video on that. That will probably be an upload within the next few days. So if you're here, please watch for that. Gosh, nobody's awake. Maybe somebody will see it. It would be nice. I am going to add that personal element in 1 second. So it says, in a recent post, James Howard Kunstler, whoever that is, discusses the concept of lawfare, claiming that it serves as a strategic legal campaign against the United States, reportedly orchestrated by Democratic Party activists. Let's be real, these are not activists. We are looking at communists, socialists, and they are extremists. Okay? They're causing unrest on purpose. This is what they want. They did the same thing in the 60s. It worked well, so they're doing it again. You divide the family. You get the young ones in good with your theological way of thinking, and then you clear the old out to make room for the new. I am not surprised at all that certain things are occurring. If I had not survived, right? Like, I have no doubt that there are groups of children out there that have no parents at this point, and that they are doing what they are doing, and that they are being led by a nefarious force. And I read a book, of course, when all this started, and the first person that entered my mind was Elon Musk. He was recruiting kids through their earbuds, kids who were dissatisfied with their family life, children who he could get to easily turn on their parents. And he was making an army of all of these new people that he was filling their heads with what he wanted them filled with. You ever hear people how they, if you look for a job, that they don't want to train, or they don't want somebody that's already been trained, they want somebody fresh? Why is that? Because they don't want you coming with your bad habits, and they want to control how you think, how you speak, how you operate. So they want to get you young so they can fill your eye gates and ear gates with what they think you should be full of. And we are empty vessels. So whatever you fill us full of, that is what we become. I'm going to get to that children aspect as soon as I touch on this personal aspect, but we got to get through this. I'll be real quick. Okay. Central to this narrative is Mark Elias, who is accused of influencing election laws to favor Democrats, particularly through mail-in voting and ballot harvesting. God, I hate when they use that word in inappropriate ways. I don't know, it creeps me out, the harvest word. And it is October, so, Satanists. And please understand that. There's a reason they do Halloween. It's to mock the true reason of Halloween. It used to be All Souls Night. Okay? And Spanish and Latinos do de la Muerte. I don't know if I said that. Day of the Dead. To honor the people who've passed before them, And the masks are to, quote unquote, scare away evil spirits. Okay, so it's not anything where you're aligning yourself with Satan, unless you specifically, say that and do that. So these legal movers are said to contribute to societal chaos, and we know this, and erode trust in the democratic processes. Now, this is weird. They got to mention this, and this really ticks me off. Kunstler further suggests that the actions of Jewish lawyers involved in these strategies may be linked to a rise in anti-Semitism, purportedly endangering the Jewish community. They're not the real Jewish community. The people you see on TV are flipping actors. That's what they are. That's what they do. Okay? And I'm being honest. Anyone on TV anyone on a screen like that, they're doing it for a reason. And there's a reason that certain, like the Pilgrims, those costumes are ridiculous. They weren't practical for the time nor for the area. They didn't dress, again, it's all mockery. Our whole history, everything they show us is a mockery. They did the same thing with us. There were orphan trains then, and they're happening now. You can call them orphan trains, you can call them human trafficking. I don't personally care. And I've also figured out that human trafficking is also to make it look like there are more people here than there actually are. Again, I've told you to pay attention to some of these things. Geopolitics. The U.S. is deploying the THAAD anti-missile defense system to Israel, accompanied by up to 100 supporting troops. This move underscores the ongoing strategic military collaborations between the two nations amid regional tensions. Health. Rising rates of depression among young adults, particularly those 18 to 25, are raising questions about whether these cases are true depression or responses to demoralizing societal conditions. It's because we don't have God. That empty hole inside of you is God-shaped because it's for God. Okay? And I could say that more eloquently like other people. But this is not that kind of video. I'm just being real. And time is short. Again, some of these young people have already removed their parents from the equation one way or another. They've either gotten them arrested and made false accusations against them. This is going to be basically a child-led movement. And the adults that go along with it. Now, by child, I mean, it started probably when they were 14, 15. These children are now almost adults, or they are adults, okay? So you're probably from somewhere around the age of 15 right now to, let's say, 24, 25. That whole area right there, they've all been weaponized, basically, against their own families, against coworkers who may be older than them, against neighbors that maybe they've been lied to about. I know because I am one of them people. I don't know what they're saying about me. All I know is that people avoid me, and I go into a certain restaurant and this old woman tells other people I'm crazy. I don't know this old woman. I can't tell you who she is. This is nastiness, and we should not want to be a part of it. And you will say, well, it's not happening to me. It's not happening in my area. It will get to you. It will. It doesn't matter who you are at this point. So we're not going to talk about the depression angle to that, because it's just not, there are so many reasons to be depressed at this point. There just are. What were the consequences for the last steal for the perps? What is to dissuade them from a repeat? What were the consequences for dissidents? Let's see, is that all they say? That's thought-provoking. That's a good comment. What were the consequences for dissident prayer meeting in Capitol on January 6th? So it started as a prayer meeting. Yeah, and trust that was all military orchestrated too. What are they preparing for dissenters this time? Indeed, you guys got to make the right connections and ask the right questions. This doesn't necessarily have to do with the election, although it does. It's already happening right now in the hills of Appalachia. If you are there, I am with you. My prayers are with you. I love you as a neighbor, as a human being, and as a child of God, made in his image. Please be strong. Do not give up your land. Do not give up your homes. Be strong, okay? And if you are a neighbor to somebody who is struggling, please help them. We cannot think that just because we close our eyes, close our ears, and shut our doors, that these problems will not make it into our own communities, families, and homes. But who cares if they didn't? Isn't it just the right thing to do to be there for your neighbors? Isn't it just the right thing to do to stand strong and firm in truth? Isn't it just the right thing to do to stand against thieves and hoodlums? Because that's what they're turning our military into right now, is thieves and hoodlums. They made them walk around a few years ago in red high heels for a very specific reason. I hope you're seeing that reason now. And this I found when I was looking for links to this, and this is disturbing. One awful PowerPoint slide accidentally authorized the Air Force to surveil U.S. citizens without warrants. And this is from December 10th, 2020. Sound familiar, targeted individuals? I'm going to have to change the title to include you guys because this is all about us. Just ask the Air Force. The Air Force, a special investigation, the branch's chief investigative and protective service and a central organ of counterintelligence activities for the federal government, appeared to authorize warrantless domestic surveillance of U.S. persons even without a specific connection to foreign terrorism, thanks to a 2016 update. See, that's what you're seeing now. The current executive order was made in 1982. They're revising it. They're amending it, meaning it's an addendum, meaning they're adding on to it and taking away from it. You know what happens when you add on or take away, right? Governing Intelligence Collective Act, and this is the key, because they're allowing them, it says, to collect resources for humanitarian aid. That's not true. We all know this isn't true. That revelation came earlier this month thanks to a Freedom of Information Act request from Human Rights Watch, and it sent privacy advocates into shit fit. Why is the DOD so wantonly trampling on private citizens' Fourth Amendment rights? And I know you're listening. Why are you doing this to me? I didn't ask for any of this, right? And I know you wanted to trip me out, and, you know, whatever happened, you didn't care. What happened is you expanded my mind and my consciousness, and I found God. And not only did I found God, but I speak to God, and God speaks back to me. And you'll say, well, you went crazy. And I'll say, no, I'm now sane. It's a matter of perspective. We got to be very careful with these words and with accusing people and trying to diagnose people, because I told you they're going to open up these asylums again. And you're going to see that very soon. That's why all these YouTubers are covering the same topics. They want to get the younger generation on board. And when you start seeing people disappearing, they want you to think it's for a good reason. Well, they have mental issues. We're going to take them and help them. They need our help. We're going to rehabilitate them. Now, actually, these amendments, and I'm going to show you in a minute, allow for human experimentation and animal experimentation. And I'm not kidding. And nobody is covering this. And it's really angering to me, and you should be angry. Why are you not angry? You should be. Here, comments are on if you're here. Hi, thanks for being here. So I am going to show both of those. I'm not just going to talk out my wazoo. But now they say, don't sweat it. Nothing's actually changed. Homegrown violent extremist is a colloquial term that is not used in the official policy. Army Major Adricia Harris, a spokesman for the Office of Secretary of Defense, told Task and Purpose, nothing in this directive alters policies governing domestic surveillance. Hold, please. That's wild. This person's name is Adricia Harris. The guy that we looked at in the previous article from the News Time, his name was Harris. He's a congressperson, a Republican from Maryland, I believe. And we have somebody running for president who is Harris. So, again, we're seeing a pattern. And again, those are things you should pay attention to. Nothing in this directive alters policies governing domestic surveillance. Yeah, right. Blame the misunderstanding on a scourge of senior NC PowerPoint. Here's what happened. Human Rights Watch published 2016 training slides from the Air Force Office of Special Investigation that appeared to detail an update to a 35-year-old directive that governs U.S. intelligence activities. The slides state that AFOSI could conduct surveillance of so-called homegrown violent extremists when no specific connection to foreign terrorists has been established. And they're saying, concluded that the latter would. For any government. Hold on. So they're saying it was an accident. They're talking it back. They see again, when people see these things and spot them, they will tell you that no, it's nothing for you to worry about. No, the 2016 update supposedly opened the floodgates for wanton domestic surveillance. It doesn't contain, nor does it authorize. The directive instead stipulates that DOD intelligence operations can only intentionally gather information on U.S. persons who are reasonably believed to be employees of, acting on behalf of groups directly or indirectly owned or controlled by, or planning an imminent attack of international terror on behalf of foreign powers. Hold, please. I was watching a YouTuber yesterday, one of them ones who travels all over. And he's very gracious. I actually like the guy, sadly. He looks like that Mark Corwin from the Mark Corwin Experience years ago, but he's bald. I share his videos all the time. Anyway, he was in a town called Beddington saying how the government, how everything was destroyed after BLM and how there's drugs everywhere. And he was walking around with a female who was an informant. And she was talking about how their new governor was really trying to get things working and started a new program. And they mentioned that she is in this group, and it's an organization funded by George Soros. So why is it that somebody who is funded by such a politically a political fire starter, basically, who has ruined other civilizations or societies, he's not even allowed in the United States? So he's funding a group for the governor of this state. I forget which state it is. It was in Bennington. I think it was Vermont. That's where it was, Vermont. So you mean to tell me that's not a conflict of interest at all, that you're allowed to do that? Sorry for the noise. I had to open the window a little bit and get some fresh air. Why is that allowed? Isn't that a conflict of interest for somebody who is in an organization formed by George Soros, paid for by George Soros? She's now an elected official? There's your proof, guys. Right there in that little thing I just said. Why is George Soros funding a group that a mayor is a part of? They are destroying our society on purpose, and they will get it to be done, especially if people don't stand. The problem I have is these younger people not knowing what's actually happening and how they're being used, because they will be tossed aside, same as us, when they get a little bit older. And this isn't because I'm getting older or anything like that. You're seeing these changes. They're making these changes. These are actual things we can touch, feel, read, hear, see, eyes and ears. All right, so I'm going to show you something here, and I'm not sure which one I want to show it to you on. Kindle, for whatever reason, is not operating the way it's supposed to. Okay, so this is DOD. I'm going to show you the actual executive order, and I'm going to tell you a short story time, and then I will include the links, okay? Now, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. This shows you what has changed and what hasn't changed. It says reissues and cancels, okay? Now it says it amends the DOD intelligence activities from the Directive 5240.01 from August 27, 2007, and it's amended. Procedures governing activities of DOD intelligence components that affect United States persons, okay? Now, Reagan had made it to protect us. Implements Executive Orders 12333 and 13388 in Title 50 United States Code. So this issuance is implementing those two executive orders. It establishes policy and provides direction for DOD intelligence and intelligence-related activities, assigns responsibility and provides guidelines for intelligence component assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. What is another civil authority? Well, we've got a lot of them, don't we, here in the military U.S. Complex, military-industrial complex. Okay, so this just shows you applicability and the policy. Okay? General issuance information. This applicability means this is when it's applicable, when they can apply it, when they're able to implement it and use it. I'm going to leave that there for 1 second. And I'm going to go over to we're going to look up Executive Order 123333, okay? I apologize that it's a little slow. That's because it's an old device. Come on, give me the, there we go. It was signed by Reagan, and it was amended by Bush in 2008. It's a foundational document that establishes the framework for intelligence community activities. It defines roles and responsibilities for the IC, that's the intelligence community, sets strategic goals, and protects civil liberties, allegedly. Applies to the collection, analysis, and use of foreign intelligence and counterintelligence. It gives the IC the authority to collect intelligence in various ways, including through human sources, communication, interception, and satellites, meaning your phones. I've told you since day one of all this that when I messaged my family, they weren't talking like my normal family, and they would repeat messages from the last time I spoke to them, which was a few years in passing, because I was healing from my head injury, and all this stuff was a little overwhelming at that time. Protections outlines protections for U.S. persons and requires intelligence activities to be conducted in accordance with certain procedures. Okay, it has been amended several times, including by executive order, and then it gets into like all the numbers for you. Now let's look at this as amended. Okay, so this is directly from the NSA.gov. It says, Executive Order 12333, the foundational authority by which NSA collects, retains, analyzes, and disseminates foreign signal intelligence information. The principal application of this authority is the collection of communications by foreign persons that occur wholly outside of the United States. That's what it says, right? Let's look at the news real quick and see if there's anything. See, reforming Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act for a digital world. I'm sure that's what that says. November 23rd, Rand Paul introduces legislation to restore and protect Americans' Fourth Amendment right. It says reform bill would protect Americans from warrantless surveillance. Executive Order 12333, FOIA lawsuit. Let's click on that because it's from that year, 2018, when everything started changing. And ask any of the homeless people, when did fentanyl start coming on the streets? Really big like this. A year or two ago. They're doing it on purpose. They are destroying America on purpose. What's at stake? They filed a lawsuit demanding that the government release information about its use of Executive 1233 to conduct surveillance of Americans' international communications. But it's not just international communications. That's not what's happening, okay? For example, it collects billions of records every day containing the location information of mobile phones, including Americans' phones, to harvest the address books of email users and to sweep up the information of users of Google and Yahoo as it travels between those companies' data centers abroad. Wow. Privacy protections for Americans whose communications are ensnared in this surveillance because the law is made almost entirely within the executive branch. It is especially critical that the public understands how the executive branch intercepts the protections it claims to exist. Wow. It kept scores of documents, including key legal analysis and interpret under the executive order. In 2017, the district court in the case agreed that the government could keep those documents secret. And that's my problem. Like, I've got people around me that were just using this stuff against me for personal vendettas. It had nothing to do with what kind of citizen I am or any of that. That's my biggest problem. But it does have to do with, I guess, the quote-unquote gift that I have to talk with God, which everyone has. Not just me. All right, we're going to get out of here. And we're going to go to the actual, this video will be done in like 2 or 3 minutes, okay? I'm just going to take you through a couple things. Oh, come on. So this is how it's been amended. and we'll look at the applicability and the policy. You can see the table of contents here. I will include a link for you so that you can download it yourself and read the entire thing at your leisure, which I recommend you do. This tells you about chain of command and the responsibilities one. Okay, in section 3, it's all about how they are able to work with other agencies. General principles, permissible assistance, levels of authority. Okay, so we're going to go right to the beginning. We're going to go to section B. Okay, so this is general issuance information. This is the applicability of this policy. B, any DOD component, when conducting the training of personnel to perform intelligence duties or activities, any use of tradecraft as defined in this issuance, the conduct of research, development, testing, and evaluation for the purpose of developing intelligence capabilities, meaning their little apps and their little trackers, and any intelligence-related and sensitive activities and related matters subject to the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. Exercise of the Secretary of Defense's delegated authority, direction, and control within the DOD are subject to this issuance and assistance to the Secretary of Defense for privacy, civil liberties, and transparency oversight. So the Secretary of Defense is the one who can either yay or nay all of this to be instated, right? Like if they see a need for this to be implemented, that's who's going to do it, is the Secretary of Defense. That's important to know. This issuance implements paragraph 2.6 of Executive Order 12333 as amended, except as otherwise specified in this issuance. So basically, they're saying it means nothing. What we say here is what matters. This issuance applies to all defense intelligence components when providing intelligence assistance to law enforcement agencies or other civil authorities. Notice there, it did not say internationally. That's the word that's missing here. It's supposed to be international, and it's supposed to be people suspected of espionage or some type of domestic terrorism. But that's not what's happening. And you can say these words on YouTube, especially when you have the disclaimers posted. All those people telling you they can't talk about this, that, or the other, that's because they're bought and paid for. That's why they can't say those words, is because they're bought and paid for. It has nothing to do with YouTube not allowing you to. Because you should see by now that YouTube allows a whole lot to go on. So it has nothing to do with YouTube or Google. It is those people. They are handlers. They are assets. They are military. They are misinforming us purposely and intentionally. You need to come to grips with that. And I know most of you probably have family in the military. I do as well. I can tell you the last time I spoke with my uncle, again, he repeated a conversation and did not get into anything new. When I tried to ask personal questions of my cousins, they did not answer correctly. I tried to talk to somebody, a best friend that I had in high school, teasing her about her big crush at that time. And trust me, it was a big deal. Like, it was a thing. And she didn't remember the person's name or anything. I knew I wasn't talking to these people. And people want to call me crazy. Why? Because I observe people, because I know the people that I love. Just because you don't think I don't know them doesn't mean I don't. Just because I'm quiet a lot doesn't mean that I don't remember the things that make them them. The reasons I love them, the reasons I spend time with them. And this is why love and forgiveness are key in this time, because they want us hating each other. They want another civil war so that they don't have to do any of the work and they're not the bad guys. They will make us the bad guys to ourselves, as they always have done. We have to stop allowing this if we want a different future for our children. It has to stop, guys. Like, I can't believe that this is America, and that where are all these men? Where are all these patriots that said they gave a darn? They're telling you to go vote. What is that going to do? Putting all this power in one person's hand and then blaming them when things go wrong. When it's all of us. We are a part of our own society. We need to learn to say the word no. I don't want to participate in your wicked system of voting, because it's wicked. Now, again, there are branches of our government that aren't so bad. We've always shared with our neighbors. We've always given food to the poor. We are called to do that as children of God. I'm real sick of everyone demeaning America to these young people. It might not be what we thought it was, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make it that way. There is nothing wrong with an idealistic attitude, especially when you have a lot of work to do to make the present manageable and to make the future brighter for those who will be here. And I don't want to hear, well, I'm not going to be here. I don't care. Man, I got people in my family, people that I love that talk that way. Don't litter. That's not, a bird could pick that up or somebody else could get it stuck to their shoe or whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to be here. What? Well, you might as well leave all your doors unlocked and just not wash the dishes because you're going to go to work. You're not going to be there to see it or smell it, right? Or see anything that happens. These attitudes that we have, we've got to shake ourselves out of them. If you know people that have become this ambivalent, wake them up, okay? Wake them up with love, with compassion. Point to these things that are inconsistent in our government and our media. They want their cushy lives. They want their nice fuzzy carpets and their beautiful apartments and everything is white and nothing ever gets dirty and there's nothing ever out of place. They are fighting for their lifestyle to keep it. Not understanding that nobody is going to keep their lifestyle, their current lifestyle, no matter what happens. Whether we stand firm in truth and we peacefully resist, whether we go to war, civil war, nothing is going to ever be the same. So we might as well try to make it brighter for those who will be here. And the only way to do that is through showing our young people love, compassion, giving them grace when they mess up, not telling them they're going to go to hell for everything they do, but at the same time, not excusing everything they do either. Love is not tolerance of bad behavior. Love is not tolerance. That's not love. Tolerance, I'm going to put up with you, but I don't love you. I love you, so I'm going to tell you the truth, but I'm not going to do you any harm. It might hurt hearing the truth. It might sting your conscience. That's a good thing. That means you're waking up. Okay, so it says activities conducted by the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency pursuant to Section 442. So we're going to have to look some of these other ones up when I have more time in the next live stream, but I'm going to go over them quickly. Humanitarian assistance, disaster readiness, response, and recovery. G, Helene and Milton, anyone? Maritime and aeronautical safety of navigation. That's different. Aeronautical. No wonder the planes ain't flying. Environmental and security vulnerability studies, mapping, charting, and geodetic missions. Other similar activities not constituting foreign intelligence or counterintelligence. So wait a minute. I thought this bill was to protect us from people who were into foreign espionage and domestic terrorists who had international connections. But that says they're dismissing that altogether, and it's just about civilians. So 2, support of civil authorities, your local police or civilian law, your local authorities, civil authorities, which would be like your governor, your judges, or civilian law enforcement, which is your local police, conducted in accordance with DOD 3025, blah, 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 including when such support is provided by defense intelligence components, units, personnel, or assets. 3, the use of animals. In DOD conducted and supported research, development, tests, and evaluation, including experimentation. And that's also on the other bill. I didn't get to that part yet, but it's on there. And it says human experimentation. Okay, so the policy. Now this tells you special emphasis will be given to the protection of the constitutional rights and privacy of U.S. persons. We'll see. The conduct of intelligence-related activities, even if conducted by a DOD organization or element that is not an intelligence unit or intelligence-funded, must be conducted consistent with the authorities and policies cited in paragraph 1.2a. So, right there, they're talking about like private contractors, like security personnel, security companies that you call because you need security at your business or what have you. Kind of what the mob used to do.
Intelligence activities will only be conducted by Defense Intelligence components or by other DOD components when specifically authorized by the Secretary of Defense or Defense Intelligence component head. I'm not sure what a Defense Intelligence component head is, but I do know what the Secretary of Defense is. Okay, Defense Intelligence component intelligence assistance to any federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency like the FBI or CIA, or to a state or local, like federal marshals, or to a state, or ICE. ICE. Yeah, ICE. I didn't even think of that. That's why they kept telling me ICE back then, and I wasn't getting it. And that's why he was able to conceal and carry federally, because he was an ICE agent. Oh my God. And Leo means law enforcement officer, because he was born in August, so he wasn't a Leo. Wow, I'm sorry. I just had like a personal revelation about that tattoo guy that walked into our lives that I call Diablo and freaking ruined everything. He was a crooked agent. That's why he knew the things he knew and did the things he did. That's why he kept saying ICE and Leo. But he was nasty. He had a lot of substances that you wouldn't think a straight line, a straight edge officer would have. Pay attention, guys, because what happened to my family is now happening everywhere. It's on the streets. It's in your homes, whether you know it or not. Okay, so this is what bothers me right here. The Defense Intelligence components may enter into contracts or arrangements for the provision of goods and services. That means they can basically act like thieves. They can go into areas that were devastated like Helene, and they can become private contractors. Isn't that a conflict of interest? How are you going to work federally and then go into and work, like, say, for a private security firm? Well, everybody has to work 2 jobs. We don't make enough money. I'm not talking about your chances here or whatever. Like, you have just as much opportunity as anyone else. I'm not negating that. I'm saying, why should you be a federal agent that can also then enter into some private contract with some other entity? That means if somebody's out there mining, like say Elon Musk has a mining firm, say BlackRock is in Appalachia, and they want to mine all that shit. They want to mine the heck out of those mountains. That means that our federal agents, if they want to keep the locals out of that area, federal agents can now become in contract with, say, that company BlackRock and act as thugs, as like union thugs. What did they call them? They had a name for them. They can act like that and beat people away from their own land, from their own home, their own backyards, their own neighbors' homes. This is ridiculous. You should be mad. Is anyone even watching at this point? You should be very angry about this. Like, it's not okay. And I'll do this video as many times as I need to make sure people see it. That doesn't bother me at all. Like, I'll just redo it if no one sees this copy of it. Okay, the disclosure requirement, research. Here's another one I don't like. Research involving human subjects must be done in accordance with blah, 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 blah. Human subject research involving prisoners of war or detainees is prohibited. Well, then who are they testing on? Riddle me this. Who are they allowed to test on? We're going to have to look that part up too. But again, I have to work today. In the next live, we will go through this piece by piece. But I'm going to tell you a quick short story time. I will leave this up so you can copy it or screenshot it, share it if you like. I find it very interesting that it is 22 pages, okay? Hold on a second. Consistent with the need to protect intelligence sources, methods, or activities in accordance with the provisions, blah, 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 to share collected and stored information, data, and resulting analysis with other agencies. as appropriate. This also applies to the exchange of sharing terrorism-related information. 13388, we got to look at that one. Responsibilities. Provides guidance for the conduct, serves as the point of contact for the security of defense intelligence components regarding DOD intelligence and intelligence-related activities with U.S. government entities, agencies, including the National Guard, the Office of the Director for National Intelligence, Homeland Security, the Department of the Treasury, State, Justice, and Homeland Security, the IC, Intelligence Community, Congress, foreign governments, international organizations, and non-governmental organizations. State, tribal, pay attention natives, indigenous, state, tribal, and local agencies when working with National Guard entities whose personnel are in state active duty. Will act in conjunction with the Chief, National Guard Bureau, in accordance with that bill. Okay, it promotes coordination, cooperation, information sharing, and cross-service management. Okay, so that tells you who they can share with and when. GCDOD, the General Counsel of the Department, serves as the point of contact with reporting to the U.S. Attorney General, reviews and provides legal guidance regarding this issuance on request for assistance by the defense intelligence components. Now there's a part in here that talks about when lives are in danger, that they can do whatever it is they think they need to do. But I'm looking for that part. I'm looking for that bit. It's in another video. I meant to... Sammy, quit snoring. Secretaries of the military departments. All right. Let's go to this part. To law enforcement agencies and other general principles. There it is. Right there. I think. Defense intelligence component may undertake intelligence activities for the primary purpose of furthering its mission or function, or to assist the intelligence mission or functions of another element of the IC within a federal law enforcement agency. When there is a question as to whether such assistance is undertaken for the primary purpose of furthering the defense intelligent mission or function, the defense intelligent component head or a delegate will resolve the matter after consultation with the servicing legal office. This section does not apply to section of the president, vice president. Wow, it does not pertain to the president, the vice president, and other designated dignitaries pursuant to public law, also known as the Presidential Protection Assistance Act. Wow. Permissible assistance. So this tells you when things are able to be applied. In accordance, now this is important, as amended unless otherwise precluded by such EO or applicable law, presidential directive, executive order, or policy, and except, okay, you can read all that. The following defense intelligence component intelligence assistance to any federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency, or to a state or local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger, are authorized to. Wait a second, when are lives in danger? When are they in danger? Times of war, right? Times of what? Pandemics? When else are lives in danger? Boy, they're calling the mental health crisis now its own pandemic. Would that be lives in danger? Please understand my sarcasm there. That's subjective. They can say anybody's life is in danger and apply this act, okay? In cooperation with appropriate law enforcement agencies to protect the intelligence community's employees, information, property, and facilities of any element. Trust me, I heard it from FEMA themselves yesterday in an interview. Their top priority in the Appalachians is first to keep their staff safe. So if they think you're unsafe, if you're carrying your conceal and carry, even if you got a permit, if they feel unsafe, do you see what's going on? Do you see it yet? They're getting excuses to have the military on the streets. Something I said 2 years ago or more now. Where is everybody? Wake up, man. Well, I got to go to work. I got to keep my lifestyle. There's not going to be none of that for very much longer. I don't know why they're still stringing people along right now. And we, in America here, we've got to have products that would last us probably 10 years at this point. And I'm not even kidding. And I know the food I'm eating is old because we just got a loaf of bread and I didn't check the date because it's bread, you know, it looks okay, feels soft, you think it's good. White bread never molds. Like it's very hard to mold, especially right now. I believe it was all frozen. They did try to take care of us, our government. Somebody tried to take care of us, or at least my area. But the food I'm getting is old food. It said July 25th on it. And it's what? October? This has been in the works for a long time, guys. And people like me, little small people, have been trying to warn everybody at our own detriment. So cooperating with appropriate law enforcement agencies to protect them, their property, their information, their facilities from any element, unless otherwise precluded by 12333, participating in law enforcement activities to investigate or prevent clandestine intelligence activities. You know what that used to be? Clandestine intelligence activities? Home churches, prayer meetings at home. Think about that. It also means for like Appalachia, if you get your neighbors together and you guys are having a sit down and the FEMA's there and they suspect you're doing something more than just a potluck, or you're talking about how you don't want them in your area anymore, tisk tisk. And that video I shared from somebody else and I said tisk tisk pants on fire, it's because she lied. Now I've got another channel taking the information I'm showing and she said it was brought to her from God to cover the Euphrates River. That's not true. It's not true. Because she even was like reluctant to say that. Everybody is in it for themselves right now. Everybody wants money. Everybody wants their 10 minutes of viral fame. Do you not see how bad that is for people? What happens to them after that? What happens to their lives afterwards? Just look at the Logan brothers. Look at Logan Paul and Jake Paul. What happens when you put your whole life on camera? This is not good. These things are not good. And the people of Appalachia seem like decent people. They know things that we could learn from them about farming, about prayer, about technology, probably about water propulsion and steam-powered electricity and things. These are also tactics, again, when they were mining and they brought other people in to do the mines. Teamsters, that's what they were called. Teamsters would threaten people like the mob. Bring baseball bats, tear up their homes. And either you would move and sell your land, or you would work that mine for them as long as they wanted to, and your children too. We are slaves. We have been slaves since the beginning. God has freed us a few times now, and he has told us to come out of her. What is her? Ships are her, churches are her, organizations are often referred to as her. Nations can be referred to as a female. Wow. Clandestine intelligence activities by foreign powers or their agents, international terrorist activities, or international narcotics activities. Who do you think's putting all the drugs on the streets? Homeless people don't have money. They don't have money for drugs. They don't got it like that, man. Think, man. Think. They're doing it on purpose. They want these people like that. They wanted TIs. That was the goal, to get you turned into a junkie on the street without a home, committed and or euthanized. That's what they want to do with us. Those of us who are going to be considered dissenters. And I'm not dissenting anything. I haven't taken up anything. So I can't dissent against something that I was never for. Right? Do you see how these words, know your words, know how to use them, and wield your tongue appropriately? There is no such thing as a dissenter in me because I never agreed to any of this. Neither did you. I can't. Okay, so this is 4, and this is the worst part. When lives are in danger, rendering any other lawful assistance to law enforcement agencies or other civil authorities, provided such assistance is consistent with and has been approved by an official pursuant to Section 2, such official will ensure that the legal office of the providing DOD component conserves in such assistance. When lives are in danger, rendering any other lawful assistance to law enforcement agencies. That means when lives are in danger, they're in charge. Dissemination of intelligence information where such information may be relevant to a violation of federal or state law. Pay attention to that, YouTubers. Section 5. I'm not reading anything that's not public knowledge at this point. This is stuff you put out there for us. This is why it's out there, is to inform us. And I'm informed, and I do not consent. Disseminating lawfully collected information reasonably believed to indicate a violation of federal, state, or foreign laws. Assistance described in paragraph 3A. Defense intelligence component assistance to law enforcement. Such personnel are prohibited from collecting, retaining, or disseminating U.S. persons' information during such assistance except when pursuant. So they're saying your information should be protected except for that occasion. Section 3. Defense intelligence components, assistance to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities. Okay, so first you got to get the Secretary of Defense's approval. Okay. Assistance in responding, and this is when you would get her approval to apply this. Assistance in responding with assets, people, with potential for lethality or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that reasonably foreseeable, meaning a crime they haven't yet committed, that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated. Such use of force may be in accordance. So, you know what that is? That's damage control. Pay real close attention to Section C. Screenshot it if you need to. I will include the link in the descriptions. Right there, they can say, well, this person has given us problems in the past. This person had a mental issue. We went to her house in September of 2018. She told us her husband, that they were involved in Satanism, that they were somebody was bringing a substance around, and that they were going to do her harm. Well, guess what, guys? In January, 3 months later, I was seriously injured. And so I was correct, and you did nothing, and you did not listen to me. I could sue you for that. I won't, because I think it's pointless to do such things. But I could if I wanted to. Everything they have done to me has trampled on my civil rights. But forget my civil rights. My God, my rights come from the Most High. Everything they have done has trampled on my consent, my authorization, my individual liberties as a human being of God, all of it. As a citizen of America, the United States, they've trampled on every piece of it, every part of it. I live like a prisoner. I have a nice cage or whatever, but I still live like a prisoner because of things like this. And now they're saying that they will be allowed to use lethal force. And after the fact, they can say anything because that person isn't here to defend themselves, guys. They can say whatever they want. Do you get that yet? Our own government and our own police and they cannot be trusted. Most of them have been swapped out. Are you noticing a lot of new people in office in your area, in your police station, in your neighborhood? Who are the people in your neighborhood, the people that you meet each day? Are they changing? Because that's an indicator that something nefarious, something underground, not necessarily underground, but something underneath is happening that you're not seeing. All right, so I got to tell you a little story time to go along with this. And I was not going to say anything about this, but now that I saw this DOD thing come out, I have to talk about it. And again, if nobody sees this video, I will just keep remaking it until people see it. This is the most important thing you can understand right now, is who your enemies are. All right? And that, again, I'm a pacifist. I'm not for any of this. I think we should be past all this garbage. I think men should be especially men, should be way more evolved than this by now. And they should be leading women and their children in a more productive, holistic, and pure manner. Wholesome manner. This is not okay. And I'm allowed to tell you this short story time because it involves something, and you'll see in a minute. Number one, I'm not breaking any laws. Number two, I'm not giving the person's name. Number two, I'm not giving the location where this occurred. Okay? Number three, I did not open it and I did not read it. I was filing it. All right. So here's the thing. And this is how the last years have been, but especially the last 3.5, and you guys know this. Something gets in my way, in my path. I don't realize I need it. I pick it up, hang on to it for later time, and here it means something. All right. And this has been happening. I keep being in the right place at the right time. I told you in yesterday's videos, I know very well that when I'm taken to a new place by the Lord, I'm taken to usually viper's nests. The place I work now, it's 222. It's got the UK flag in one of the apartments above us, and they're revamping all the apartments. And I'm going to tell you, I went out, I was cooking, and I went out to the kitchen or to the front to wipe my hands. There was nobody else there in the front of the store, no customers, no other employees. There was only one other employee in the building, and she was not there at that time. So I walked out because I heard the ring, and there was mail sitting on the counter. So when their mail comes, you have to pick it up and you put it either in an envelope for one person or you set it on the counter for the other person who gets mail there. This person received personal mail. Now, again, I did not open it. There was not a mailbox for me to take it out of. I simply filed it for this person. But you have to read the name to know where to file it, right? This person received a letter, an envelope from the Director of Defense. Now, I've said for a long time, I feel like a military experiment, military asset. That's probably one of the only reasons I'm important is because for whatever reason, God is giving me insight into what's happening and what's going to happen. And I told you, that little vision I had of Mary, it was very short, but it was very bold. And I can tell you the colors, I could probably draw it if I tried. And I did not know what their Kennedy Rose Garden was. But Mary was chilling there, and she was clipping a rose, and her finger started bleeding, and she said, "Soon this will fall from the sky. Blood will fall from the sky." Why was she in the Kennedy Rose Garden? So I'm at work. I go out there. I get this piece of mail, and it says DOD on it. And I'm thinking, well, this is weird. This is personal mail. Why is this person receiving personal mail at this store location? Another thing, why does this person always show up so quickly like they actually live nearby? Why do they get there so fast? Why do some of the children who work here, 16, 17, 18, how do they get here so quick? When I just mentioned, I wonder if they'll be here early, or I say their name. Suddenly, there they are. I told you, I think a lot of parents are gone already. I hate to say that, but we would be seeing patriots standing up at this point if they weren't all, I don't even know what word to use, indisposed at the moment. Okay, so the next thing. There are all these apartments up there, okay? And she got this letter from the DOD. So I'm wondering if they just live there. They've never told me this. But why would she get a letter? But it was addressed to her at this place of business or whatever, right? Didn't say apartment A, apartment B, didn't say none of that. Was I meant to see it? Was it set there for me to see? I don't know. I wasn't going to tell you guys about this. I said, well, I'll just keep this one to myself for a little while. But it was one of those things that made me go, wonder what this is about. Then suddenly, this comes out. Another thing that's funny is she reminds me a lot of my aunt. Looks like her, talks like her face is different. Acts like her, a lot like my aunt. My aunt was in the military. My other aunt tried to say, no, she was never in the military. That's Mandela effect. BS, man. You just didn't want me to know she was in the military because you didn't want me to know she was still acting covertly doing things. Like, everybody's lying at this point. Everybody. And I'm personally disgusted by it. Now, I love you guys, okay? I love my family to the moon and back a million times. And I love my home where I've made a home. But when everything you know is flipped upside down and everyone you love is turned inside out, it does something to you. It breaks you. And there are a lot of broken people around right now. You, me, all of us are broken in some way, shape, or form. How are they going to figure out who to lock up? They can make up whatever they want, especially when the person is either indisposed or deceased. They can say whatever they want after the fact, and they usually do. The good guys that they tell you are the good guys are usually the bad guys. Why do you think all the Vietnam vets kept throwing their medals back? Why do you think they come home and protested? The things that we think are happening, again, they show us everything twisted up. You've got to unravel it yourself. Now, I gave you a lot of clues in this video, and I come straight out and said some things. I'm going to go now. I love you guys. Stay blessed. Share the information. I don't care about the video or the channel in that way. Share the information. I do this because God asked me to speak on what I saw. And these are the things I'm witnessing in my mind's eye and physically, okay? And for whatever reason, when I see something local, it ends up going public. Just like the DOD thing, it had a connection to each other, the personal aspect and the public aspect. And they happened about a week apart. Again, this happened about a week ago. I wasn't going to tell anybody, but it seems like it's connected, so I figured I would tell you guys. I promised to tell the truth as far as I know it when I started this, and that's what I'm doing. I love my family. I love my country. But I love truth and God more. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're doing something, I'm going to narc on you. If you're an adult and you're trying things with your own body, that is your business, right? It's when you start affecting those around you or harming people around you that it becomes problematic. Don't pass that problem on to other people, or then I'll be a problem for you. And people that I'm talking to know who I'm talking to. Heisenberg, you having fun? Is it a good time? Is it everything you thought it would be? I'm going to do a video on Heisenberg very soon because we were given a clue in that show. I can't even remember the name of the show. The one about the blue drug. I'm going to do a short video on that because I think, again, they were telling us before they actually enacted their plan. I love you all. Stay blessed. This was supposed to be short. I'm sorry it was so long, but that was a lot of reading. And if you missed it, I will include links.